when it comes to education and as teaching especially, it comes down to the content and also the delivery or the pedagogy. We at Primarly, if we can't affect change, we want to start being the change. Entertainment need not only be in form of stupid jokes or songs. It can also be educative. So that's where our contents come into picture.
Hello and welcome to SDG 101 Conversations for Change, a podcast series where we dive into real stories, grassroots efforts, and expert insights that bring the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, to life. In each episode, we explore how individuals and communities are turning global goals into local action, inspiring change for a better, more sustainable future. In today's episode, we're honored to speak with Ms. IZZAH AZURA, the founder of Primaly, an education brand. With her as the founder of Primarly, she is setting out to share with people, especially educators, her personal vision that is education should be more than just in-class teaching. It's so much more than that. We're excited to see and also hear how she personally and Primarly are aligning their visions towards the SDGs. So let's get started. To start us off, Ms. IZZAH or Ms. AZURA, how do I address you?
I'm popularly known as Teacher AZURA, or so you can call me Ms. AZURA.
I see. Okay, so Ms. AZURA, to start us off, could you share with the audience what exactly is Primarly and what does it mean to be an education brand these days?
Okay, let me start off by sharing the history of Primarly. So we started Primarly in 2010, but back then it was not Primarly, it was Pusat Tuition Prima. So like many other people who ventured in education, establishing Pusat Tuition or Tuition as Tuition Center sounds like the easiest or the most feasible idea to begin. But after 10 years running Pusat Tuition, we decided to rebrand ourselves, and that was during COVID, where big exams in Malaysia like UPSR was abolished that year, and PT3 or PMR previously was put on hold at that time, and now was abolished just like UPSR. So we figured that exam-centric business, Pusat Tuition, is not a sustainable approach for us to move forward, and hence why we rebranded ourselves as Primarly in 2020 to make education more sustainable, where we no longer offer exam courses, because previously as Pusat Tuition we offered subjects to cater or to prepare students for examinations, but we believe that education should be more than just exam preparations. It should equip students with real life skills and knowledge, and that's where Primarly comes into picture. So what we are doing now at Primarly is that we offer our own in-house handcrafted modules called English Communication for children, for teenagers, and for adults. We also have math. When we mention math, it's always about drilling, but that's not what we are doing in Primarly. At Primarly, math is all about application. You may check out what we're doing on our social media or on our website. We take students, for example, when they learn the topic of money, so we take them to shopping complex, to supermarkets, to actually purchase stuff using the money they are entrusted with, and that's how we teach them how to count money, how to use money wisely, instead of just teaching them theoretically. So yeah, that's the idea of having a sustainable education. In other words, to prepare them on how to apply knowledge in real world.
I see. All right. So that would be how you started out as your own personal vision, right?
Correct.
And then it seeped into what we know as Primarly these days. So is that the main idea of you heading towards the SDG, or is that something that you decided after rebranding, or maybe do you have specific SDGs that you're directly contributing to? Because as far as I know, mentioning your social media just now and also your websites, it feels like you're heading you're trying to contribute to SDG 4 specifically, providing quality education. Is that I don't know, maybe intentional or?
Let me share another story. This is a little bit personal than why we started out with Primarly or Pusat Tuition Prima. I have been an education enthusiast since I was in school. I actually wanted to become a lawyer, and I did study law, in fact. And when I was when I was doing my degree, I have started teaching. And I was not only teaching at learning centers or tuition centers. I was also coaching public speaking, debates, marching kawat kaki at schools, and that was for free. I did it out of passion. And even during semester breaks, my friends and I would approach our alma mater or any school for us to conduct motivational camps because of our passion to sip in education and to work with school students. So why didn't we approach schools and offer English classes or math or science classes? Because we believe that education is so much more than learning the subjects, which are equally important. So having that in my mind, I established Pusat Tuition Prima in 2010 with a partner who was opposed to my idea of having this an all-rounder, not all-rounder, a wholesome education. Because to this partner, they believe that it's not, because we are Pusat Tuition is a money making or a business entity, so it was not a good idea to generate income. So because we are partners, I tolerated. I compromised my idea, and there were some changes in partnerships and so on. So long story short, I have never felt like what we did with Pusat Tuition Prima for the past 10 years. I mean, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right to just prepare students for exams per se. So for the past 10 years, not for the past 10 years, for the first 10 years where we were Pusat Tuition Prima, we were not like any other tuition center. People say, oh, you are different because we took students to the orphanage, to the old folks home. We took them to the jungle. We took them, like I mentioned, to interview foreigners at central markets to give the students confidence and comfort to speak English with other people. We took them to supermarket, I mentioned. So all these are things that tuition centers wouldn't do. And COVID-19 was the triggering point, and not only COVID-19, but COVID-19 and everything that happens with COVID-19, including and especially the abolishment of big exams in Malaysia, was the triggering factor for us to rebrand. And to answer your question, we have never had the intention to actually have, we must follow the SDG initiative. No, but it was, I would say, a coincidence that we align with what SDG 1, especially what SDG is moving forward with, especially SDG 4, quality education, because to me, education is preparing students to what they can do outside school. Because if we're looking at what the schooling system is currently preparing and has been preparing us for so long in Malaysia, it's like we have been producing robots who cannot opine, cannot express our opinions, especially in class where students have to listen to teachers. They are not in their place to actually object, not to say object, to what's the correct word, to
even throw ideas,
because it's considered rude back then. So at Primarly we encourage students to express themselves freely, respectfully, because that's the kind of generation we want to produce. So we are not intentional when it comes to aligning with SDG. But I believe because it's the right thing to do. Having and offering sustainable education is the right thing to do, even when it was not vastly accepted by the public.
I see. All right. So I think that answers the main question of Primarly heading towards the SDG, because like you said, it wasn't intentional, but maybe somewhere along the way after the first 10 years, maybe it became more deliberate. Because from how I see it, your personal vision has always been giving the children a better quality education. But as I think I've mentioned in the previous episodes, if our audience have been following up with that, the thing about SDGs is that it always uses difficult terms.
Correct.
It has become a very, I think, intimidating topic to talk about. But then when you mention it in your own personal story, how it went from A to how we are today, maybe not Z yet, because that's still a far future, it seems like it's such a simple idea, which is just to have education be a sustainable thing for the children in the upcoming generations as well, right? So then somewhere along the way when you rebrand it, it became more deliberate, correct? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
so
when
then,
it's more, if I may add, sorry.
It's okay.
When we had our first discussions on rebranding and stop offering exam-based subjects as our products, I received a lot of concerns. Objections, which voiced out concerns actually, even from my own team. They were concerned that we wouldn't get any approval. Not many people would accept our ideas, especially our existing parents, because at an education brand like us, we don't call customers or clients, we call parents and students, right?
Yes.
So especially to our existing students and parents who have been with us. But mashallah, alhamdulillah, some of these parents are even with us until today. So they believe in our vision in providing sustainable education, meaning that when they enroll their children in math and English classes, they know that Primarly isn't only preparing their children for exams only. We are preparing them so that their children can speak with people freely, comfortably. Because if you see, this is this is the reality. In Malaysia, a typical school student goes to school from the age of 7, some 5, 6, 6 to 17. That is, please do the math for me, 11 years of schooling or 12 years of schooling. And a lot of these people are not able to communicate in a simple English, using one simple English sentence. So that got me thinking, what have we been doing all this while? And that is something we want to reverse, we want to undo with Primarly. So we don't want to prepare students who can score A, but you can't speak. I mean, we want them to be good English users, good English communicators, and for math, they are able to they are able to do math, unlike me, who just asked how many years just now. So they are able to do mental calculation and apply all these mathematical formula and techniques when they deal in actual day-to-day situation.
I see. I think that covers nicely what I was just about to ask.
All right, okay.
That's good, because that means you're an eloquent speaker and you know your expertise. There are certain problems that you were trying to solve, which is true. These I don't want to say these kids because they turn up into adults as well, and then when they graduate they become a part of society, right? But then they aren't able to transition into society smoothly.
Correct. That's the correct term I was thinking about.
Yes, because that's always the issue, right? But yeah, that is the main problem that you were trying to solve. All right. Speaking of that, because when we have a problem and we try to do our best to solve it, it always comes back to the approach, right? To the method. So the main question I have for that is, if there is a specific approach or method, what is it that you use to implement your whole vision, your idea, or these projects that you have, like you mentioned just now, right? So do you have a specific one, or maybe a vague idea of what it is?
Okay, I wouldn't say we have a specific one single method to tackle these problems, but at Primarly we believe in we are an active learning advocate and practitioner. So it goes back to the pedagogical approach that we are using at Primarly, because when it comes to education and as teaching especially, it comes down to the content and also the delivery or the pedagogy. So the content is typically general. Everyone uses the same content. Everyone teaches grammar. Everyone teaches reading, vocabulary, and so on. But it comes down to how do we deliver those contents so much so that it benefits the students not only in exam, I mean beyond classrooms and beyond examination. So that's where student-centered and active learning come into picture, where we allow teachers to be free in class as long as they involve the students. They involve the students in the majority of the lesson. Like active learning means the active learning and student-centered are interrelated, where 80% of the class or the lesson involves students' involvement, meaning that the teachers, the role of a teacher in active learning and student-centered is no longer the source of knowledge. Teachers now are the learning facilitator. We facilitate the learning process, and everything is done by the students. The students, for example, in one of the English classes that we had, students had to interview one another, and they become news anchor. They become news anchors. So they have to do their own research on the topic that they are presenting. They have to interview their peers and Google or search for information on the internet. So what the teacher was doing was to merely facilitate and guide the students in classroom. Because especially children these days, sometimes they are more advanced than us. The information that they get information is abundant. We can get information anywhere at any time, and sometimes these information arrive to our students even before we know it. So our role as teachers are to guide them and help them understand and have this thought process of which information must be filtered and which information can be used and or can be applied. So that's the basic idea on our approach, I think. And I think that is also something that not only us but everyone in education, especially educators, should start doing. But I understand that this is not something easy, especially in public schools where there are hindrances, especially the facilities and the number of students in class. So, but hopefully we are heading there. And I mean, we can't, if we can't, no. Okay, what I'm saying is, we at Primarly, if we can't affect change, we want to start being the change.
I see. Well, that's actually a nice saying.
Thank you.
So from that, can I and also the audience conclude that the approach is more what we call hands-on approach, because it's more what the teacher can I would say not improvise, but maybe like brainstorm based on the content that they have, but to include the students with it so that they have a more hands-on approach towards the content. Is that how we can say it?
Yes, you can summarize it that way as well.
Alright, just to put it simply, because we also have to remember the audiences here are very I don't know, they are from very varied fields, right? So we also have to make it simple for them. Okay, all right. So then, is that how you measure the success of your impact of your organization or your work towards the SDG goals? Or maybe you have certain indicators that show you that this is how we see that we are heading towards a successful direction towards the SDG goals. Okay,
I have two. I mean, my answer will come in two parts. When it comes to having this kind of education, where I'm not opposed to exam, I kind of oppose actually. I kind of opposed to exam-centric education, where everything is measured on paper, like someone's English proficiency is measured on the score or the grade they are getting. Like an A, someone who gets A in SPM is assumed to be very proficient in English, which in real life is not. So the measure here is on, we have multiple ways to measure the quality or the impact of our program, especially on sustainability. Exam or written exam especially is not the only way to measure one's proficiency or one's mastery in any subject at all. So exam is just one of the many ways for us to assess and also evaluate someone's ability, someone's mastery, and someone's proficiency. But the thing is, with most nations, we have centralized exams because that's the most economic thing to do. Printing papers, having everyone to study the same syllabus, the same thing, the same question is the most economic thing to do. Because having customized or tailored assessments, I would say is much more cumbersome. But it's cumbersome to us. And I mean, we at Primarly, we are willing to take the high route, the winding route, to ensure the quality of the education the students are getting. And it's not easy to come up with our own module. When I mentioned module, active learning and student-centered just now, we were not only focusing on the delivery. The other part of the module is involves the rubric and the assessment as well. So we have assessment in each of our module. We have assessment including project-based. Also, we have quizzes in classrooms going on. And the students' attitude towards the subject or the course they are taking is also taken into account. So these are all considered as an assessment to measure the quality and the impact of our program.
I see.
And the second part of my question is on how to measure the impact of our what we offer to SDG is when we finally, after a few years, we finally get the attention we want, even though not as big as we expect, but people are starting to recognize us and starting to believe in our mission by sending their children. This is for parents. And second, organizations are starting to notice us by proposing ideas to work together.
I see.
For example, we are now working together closely with International Islamic University, especially IIBF, Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, where we collaborated in running CSR program for the 𝗞𝗲𝘆 community in Gombak, where we offer our programs, English communication and mathematics, for the 𝗞𝗲𝘆 community children in Gombak every weekend.
I see.
So yeah, that is one of the I would say one of the measure when people start to understand what we want to do, where we are heading. I believe because of that vision, they want to work with us.
I see. All right, that's good to know, because a lot of times when we head towards the goals, we try to tell people what we want to do and what we have to offer, but then we never see what comes out of it. And also, like you said, we can't really measure success through just one measure, right? We have to see different ways, but then we want to know, especially the audience, we want to see the more personal stories, more personal success stories. So in that note, do you have a more personal success story that shows or that made you feel more confident in your work? Or maybe is that the what you explained just now, is that the personal success story? Or
that is one of the many stories. Recently, like a couple of weeks ago, we organized a national level competition called Primarly English Olympiad 2025, and it's one of the biggest events in education. Primarily English Olympiad is basically an English competition where students compete among one another to test their ability or skill and knowledge in grammar, vocabulary, and spelling. Is that all? Yeah, grammar, vocabulary, and spelling. So what's really was heartwarming for me personally was that the participation that we received was from all 14 states in Malaysia.
Wow.
Yes, and but sadly, because of it's our first time, and we wanted to measure how my team and I were able to cater to the huge number of participation. We limited the participants to only 2,300.
I see.
So, and then there were more people who were disappointed that they couldn't join. So next year we wanted to open the participation, inshallah, to 10,000.
Wow.
Hopefully. So this Olympiad is actually approved by Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia, by the MOE. So why did we organize this Olympiad? This Olympiad is, I would say, is a complementary initiative to our whole sustainability idea in education. Because I mentioned just now, we don't want education to be merely for preparing for exam. We have a learning setup. We have assessment, but then how do we improve the ecosystem by having a community, an Olympiad community, where people are are enthusiastic about competing and challenging themselves. So it's one of the effort, and Alhamdulillah that this effort is finally seen by the Ministry of Education themselves, by when they not only approved the program, but one of the assistant directors even attended our final showdown and became one of the judges.
I see.
So yeah, I think this is the most recent success stories I am proud to brag.
Yeah. All right. Yes, that is very personal and also a very big one as well. I didn't expect the entirety of Malaysia to join.
Yes.
I think that also contributes to one of the SDGs, which is to give the children not only just quality education but also equality, so that it doesn't matter what community you come from, you can always just join because it's education.
Yes,
you can
and
always
plus
grow.
it was free. I know we are a business entity,
Yes.
so business and education are always conflicting because people have been championing for quality and free education, but at the end of the day we are a business entity. But a business entity can always contribute back to the society through programs like what we're doing, like through CSR programs, and also through competitions, free competitions like this, where we can involve as many students as possible.
So just for the audience, could you describe what is CSR actually?
Oh, okay. CSR stands for Corporate Social Responsibility, and I believe every business organization has to have this responsibility where they give back to the society, and one of the ways we can give back is to include students, regardless of their background, in our brand. So because we are a business entity, meaning that not everyone can afford us, but by having and by collaborating with other organizations in running CSRs, and also by organizing competitions and so on, this will in a way help us reach out to those who cannot afford expensive education.
I see. All right. So you mentioned collaborators and all that, and you mentioned IIUM, you mentioned IBF, and I think you mentioned several other names. Are these your main collaborators, or have they been your recent main collaborators, or do you have more of them to come in line waiting for you? And in that note as well, could you explain a little more, how do they actually play a role in advancing towards the SDGs?
They have been IIBF, IIUM have been our recent collaborators. We also partnered with Primaly publication, especially in the recent Olympiad, where they contributed and they sponsored thousands of ringgit worth of prizes. And I believe that Primaly is also one of the companies championing SDG and aligning their vision with SDG as well.
Yes.
And then we had partnered with a lot of organizations previously. Let me think of one, for example. When we previously organized Pertandingan Membaca, a reading competition held at KLIBF, Kuala Lumpur International Book Fair, which was pre-COVID, and we also had the same competition held at Maha in Maibs, Serdang. So these were some of our collaborators before, and I believe moving forward Primarly will always collaborate and work with other brands or organizations, because in the business world, collaboration is the way forward. There's no rivals in business. There are only collaborators, and in order to echo what SDG initiative and effort is heading, I think the word is more heads are better than one.
Yes, that's true. because like you said, this is not a competition amongst the business as well, and the education, we are all heading towards the same
Correct.
the same goal, right? And I think it's mentioned by Encik Azmi as well. Encik Azmi is from Pelangi, so he did mention how he appreciates the teachers always being passionate about just giving back to the children and also making sure they have better quality education, and that it's good that you are both working together. Okay. All right. So then, speaking of, I mentioned how you could have partnerships or collaborators in line waiting for you, right? So this is talking about the continuity. So moving forward, do you maybe have funding support or any kind of support to sustain your SDG Align initiative, or maybe any sort of support?
We would love to get any kind of fund. That's like a dream come true for every entrepreneur. But truthfully, we have only been getting. In 20. This is also another story. In 2011, we were funded. We got a 10,000 ringgit worth of fund for us to. This is actually a story I forgot to mention earlier. We were on TV3 for this program called Sejuta Impian, where we had to pitch our CSR related idea, where we wanted to go to 20 schools in 1 year to run our program. So Alhamdulillah, our pitch was a success, and we were granted a 10,000 ringgit worth of grant. That was in 2011. So that was the first ever funding we have ever got in our as a brand. And I don't think we have gotten any kind of funding after. I mean, not that I can recall, but having said that, we don't mind any collaboration, because our partnership with IIUM, IIBF is where they were the ones who got the funding for us to run the program. Because IIBF, they had the idea of running the CSR or the program for the B40 community, but they do not have the expertise, and they do not have the manpower to run the program. So it's like a win-win situation for both us and IIBF, where we provide what they do not have, and we enjoy also their funding. So that is perhaps one of the ways we can get the funding from. And we also appreciate, because what Primarly is doing is, I would say, is still an alien in Malaysia. Whenever people ask if we provide English class, they would expect English class or math class. They would expect the typical English class where students sit,
like at schools.
Yeah, and listen and do exercise and repeat. But that's not going on in Malaysia, and this idea is still very much alien to so many people, so many parents, and having our vision accepted is enough for us to move forward with our idea of sustainability, and at the same time to align with the SDG effort.
I see. Okay, so it's not just about, of course, the funding is very much appreciated, but there's also a lot of other kinds of supports, right? Yeah, that's true. Just because people believe in you, that's almost enough for you to keep going, right? Yeah. All right, that's true. So then, do you have any plans, any big or small steps that you are taking to help ensure that your organization remains, or your project remains sustainable and relevant in the long term? If not, if you don't have any, how do you think as the founder, or maybe as an entrepreneur yourself, how do you try your best to make sure that this is sustainable, that this is heading towards that way?
one of the ways and one of the perks these days is having social media. So we are very much active on social media. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Thread, primarly.my. We are very much active, not simply to promote our existence, because a lot of business entities are there on social media to be there and to promote, to sell their products, but we are on social media educating people on English. We create English and math content, so you can check us out. So you seldom, I dare say, you seldom see us selling. You seldom see us hard selling on social media. We in championing sustainability in education, we believe that when people scrolling social media, you know, sometimes people just want to let loose and how to say really escape from the stress they are having at work. But at the same time, they can also enjoy edutainment. Education plus entertainment. Entertainment need not only be in form of stupid jokes or songs. It can also be educative. So that's where our contents come into picture. We create some of our contents, especially on TikTok, are role plays where you can just check us out. But that is also one of the ways we can ensure sustainability. And I would say, if Primarly is no longer here, and if I am no longer here, those contents will still live as long as internet is still here. So that way, people can still enjoy, and not only enjoy, but also benefit from our content.
All right. I think we are heading towards the end already. Time flies.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Okay. So, as the closing, we have to know, because I would consider you as probable experts in this field, right? You and your organization. So, do you probably have any advice to others who are trying to align their work with the SDGs? Because just as yourself, you did not set out to work towards the SDGs, right? But somewhere along the way, it became that. It became one of the things that you want to achieve in the future. So what about these other business entities that want to head towards that? Do you have any advice for them?
Thank you for calling me a probable expert. I would say, I'm not sure if I am an expert. I mean, my team and I, but we are definitely a group of practitioners and advocate for sustainability in education. If I have something to say, if I do have something to say, I would say that in championing or in having our goals of sustainable aligned with what we do, it's always never about what's easy for us, because ensuring sustainability not only in education, even in the environment. Let me give you an example. I have been trying my best to recycle these days and to minimize waste. But it's not easy. It's rather easy to buy takeaways and throw all the plastics or the paper cups and the cans away. But it's never easy to separate all these recyclables. It's cumbersome.
Yes.
And we have to send them to the recycling center and so on. So that's my weekly routine now. What I'm saying is that as an educator or people involved in the education industry, it is never always about how it can be easy for us. Like I mentioned, it's easier to have a centralized exam, and because it's more economy and it's easier to manage. But is it really convenient for the end product we are producing, the students themselves? So in going the sustainability path, it's never easy, but it's going to be worth it. and every effort that we do is not only for how to say, it's not only for giving or for benefiting what we have today. We want to see we want to leave a legacy for the next 10, 20, 30 years, and that's from the hardship that we have to undergo today. It's not easy, but it's definitely going to be fruitful, inshallah.
I see. All right, so then before we close, I only have one question for you. So other than the 10,000 participants for your next year's English Olympiad, do you have the simplest question is, what's next for your center? Or maybe do you have any plan to replicate your SDG impact in the future?
Yeah, we do. We are, besides English communication, there are actually so many other products in our brand. Two of those that I didn't mention earlier was we also offer public speaking for kids, and it's going to commence soon in July. And not only that, in line with offering public speaking for kids course, we also intend to have a public speaking competition just like the Olympiad, but perhaps in a smaller scale, because public speaking is not not everyone is into public speaking, and that's for children. As for adults, we have been offering English communication for adults classes, and we have an amazing teacher who runs the program, the course. But then adults have this problem where they are busy with their schedule, so they cannot commit to weekly classes. And we are going to launch soon an English speaking club, just like we have car club, we have hiking club, running club. So this English speaking club is where working adults or adults would meet either online or physically, and they would just come together to a gathering online or physically, and chit chat with a structured flow. So for example, we have a theme on Merdeka or Independence Day, and we will talk about that. So the idea is to encourage people to express themselves freely without the fear of being judged or being laughed at, and then we will provide feedback to each other on how to improve ourselves. Just a leisure session, like going on a hike on the weekend. But instead of going on a hike, we gather at a dedicated place and just chit chat with one another. So that will launch soon, and it's going to be called the Chatterhood.
I see. So what from I can tell, the way you want to replicate your recent successes or whatever impact that you've achieved towards the SDG is through smaller means, right? Through smaller projects, but maybe in the future it will become bigger, and also you can branch out.
Basically, in other words, we want to create a community. Instead of just being a brand, we want to create a community where we can benefit one another.
That's the whole spirit of sustainability, right? Because we want it to last for a long time, and to do that we need community.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we've come to the end of our episode for today. So as we close, it's important to remember why the SDGs matter. They provide a universal blueprint for dignity, equality, and healthier planet. From education and environmental protection to economic opportunity and strong communities, the SDGs help guide our collective action toward a better future for all. So Ms. Azura, thank you so much for sharing how Primarly is striving to advocate for better quality education. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you've been inspired by this episode, follow us on social media and stay connected. Join us again for SDG 101 Conversation for Change, where we continue highlighting voices and stories driving real impact. Until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and stay committed to change.